Okay, let's get right into it. Everyone seems to think that world models are basically just supercharged versions of Sora, right? Like they're just here to make prettier videos, maybe longer clips, or splashier water physics. But honestly, that is a massive misunderstanding. If you think world models are just about generating hyper-realistic video, you are going to miss the absolute most valuable technology shift of the next 18 months. In this deep dive analysis, we are going to completely reframe what these models actually do behind the scenes and where the real billions are about to be made.
Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're unpacking an investor-grade memo that completely reframes the entire trajectory of world models over the next year and a half. We'll quickly run through the video generation myth, look at some real-world signals proving a paradigm shift, walk through 3 crucial deductions, map out the actual investment value, and then wrap up with a strict reality check. Section 1. The video generation myth. If you read almost any popular article on world models right now, you're going to hear the exact same narrative. It's all about generating pixels, making longer, more coherent videos that obey the laws of physics and look incredibly real. But the hidden reality? It's entirely different. These models are secretly changing lanes. They aren't just being built to generate media anymore. They are being built to predict the consequences of actions. And while those two things might sound kind of similar, their commercial implications are literally worlds apart. Seriously, if you miss this shift from just making cool media content to actually building a physical common sense engine for AI agents, you are going to completely miss the next 18 months of value creation. Section 2. Signals of a paradigm shift. You might be wondering, what's the actual proof? Why is this happening right now? Well, in just a single week, 3 totally independent signals from completely different fields converged on one core concept: action. Let's look at the rule of 3 here. First up, NVIDIA's Cosmos 3. This model is designed specifically for physical AI, and it treats action as a first-class modality. It's putting action sequences right up there on the exact same level as language, audio, and video. You just don't design a standard video generator that way. Second, even pure code generation, which, is strictly symbolic, is adopting world modeling to map out states and consequences. And third, there's a startup called General Intuition, and they're literally training AI agents on millions of hours of gaming data just to teach them human-like intuition. Now, what's really interesting about this number is that General Intuition just hit a $2.3 billion valuation. So what exactly are investors buying with all that cash? I can tell you for sure it's not beautiful cinematic video frames. No, they are buying massive, cheap, cause and effect action data. The market is actively proving that the real premium is on interactive consequences, not just pretty pictures. To put into perspective why this is such a big deal, just look at traditional large language models. Pure text models are kind of hitting a wall. Research systematically shows they make errors when trying to generate 3D coordinates or figure out spatial layouts. And why is that? Because they fundamentally do not understand physical reality. They lack physical common sense. And that is the exact hole that these action-based world models are stepping in to fill. Section 3. 3 crucial deductions. We are going to deduce the so what of this entire paradigm shift. We absolutely need to understand this critical term, action data. What is it? It's an interactive sequence containing an action paired directly with its subsequent physical consequence. Think about it this way. In the previous era of AI, the big bottleneck was high-quality text, which, let's face it, the internet has pretty much exhausted by now. In this next phase, the bottleneck is action data. Sure, an internet video shows you a result, like a car turning, but it doesn't capture the steering wheel turning or the exact motor torque that caused it to happen. High-quality paired action and consequence data is the new incredibly scarce resource. And because it's so scarce, these 3 things build on each other to change everything. Number 1, how we evaluate models is going to flip entirely. We'll stop judging them on visual fidelity, how pretty they look, and start judging them on action conditional prediction. A physical robot doesn't care if a pixel is perfectly shaded. It cares if it correctly predicts what happens when it knocks a glass of water off a table, right? Number 2, the primary data bottleneck definitively shifts away from text to these interactive action sequences. And number 3, this shift forces simulation environments to upgrade. They go from being just simple testing tools to becoming our most strategic synthetic data factories. Because collecting real-world action data, it's slow, it's expensive, and honestly, it can be pretty dangerous. All of this builds to a really profound realization from our source memo. If you take away just one thing from this explainer, let it be this. The competition is shifting from who has the biggest model to who has the deepest action data pipeline. That right there is the ultimate moat. The platforms controlling game engines, robotics teleoperation, or these massive synthetic data factories. They're the ones holding the keys to the next generation of AI. Section 4. Mapping the investment value. Quick reminder, this is a structural analysis of value flow based on our source, not financial advice.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the ecosystem splits into 3 distinct layers, assuming this action data thesis holds up. Layer 1 is compute and data engines. Think of the companies like NVIDIA providing the massive processing power for training. It's totally vital, but it's incredibly crowded and fully priced in. You're not really finding a cognitive advantage there. Layer 2 is where the high alpha hides. Action data and simulation middleware. We're talking game engines, teleoperation platforms, synthetic data toolchains. The market narratives here are still super unformed, which makes it highly valuable. And then you have layer 3, robotics hardware. Counterintuitively, the actual robots are basically just downstream data terminals. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. Sell shovels, not robots. Hardware is just the terminal. It's so easy to get distracted by shiny, sexy humanoid robots. But the sheet metal, the motors, that is not where the scarcity lies. The true value is in the action data the robot collects and the model running its brain. It's a classic gold rush scenario.
Section 5. Counterarguments and reality check. Because intellectual honesty requires us to completely stress test this thesis.
The strongest argument against this thesis is simply timing. The pixel generation camp, the folks building AI video tools, are pulling in real, immediate revenue today from media, film, and advertising. Meanwhile, the action data camp might be stuck waiting years for physical AI and robotics to actually reach full commercialization. So, hey, the video folks might not be wrong. They might just be capitalizing on the money that's on the table right now, while the action camp is playing a much longer, much more uncertain waiting game.
And that uncertainty is heavily tied to one major technical risk, the sim-to-real gap. Historically, getting an AI to work flawlessly in a pristine computer simulation and then transferring it to the messy, unpredictable real world, well, it's been a lethal hurdle for robotics. What if the synthetic game data just completely fails to transfer to a real-world robot? If that happens, the entire economic advantage vanishes. Layer 2 goes from being this incredible investment to a massive liability. Suddenly, only incredibly expensive real-world data matters, and the whole action data investment thesis just falls apart.
Let's move to and see how this builds over a concrete timeline, because we need to know how to prove or falsify this theory. Today, we've identified the paradigm shift, but over the next 12 months, these new action conditional world models absolutely have to be traditional reinforcement learning baselines in real-world robotic tasks. And the ultimate test? By the end of 2027, major AI labs must adopt consequence prediction, not visual quality, as their top public benchmark. We should also be seeing massive compute providers specifically breaking out their physical AI revenues in their earnings reports. If the end of 2027 rolls around and literally none of this has happened, then this thesis is wrong, and video generation was the real endgame all along.
But if this source memo is right, the rules of the AI race are being rewritten as we speak. The true moat isn't the model. It's definitely not the pixel quality. It is the data pipeline. So I'm going to leave you with this to think about. In 18 months, when the rest of the world finally realizes that pretty pixels just aren't enough, will your data pipeline be deep enough? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep this shift on your radar, and I'll catch you next time.